We often think of isolation as safety, don't we? These remote places, deep woods, quiet country roads, places you imagine the city's chaos can't reach. But the stories we're exploring tonight, these 3 true accounts, well, they paint a very different picture. Solitude doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes it just makes you a clearer target. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're not just recounting scary stories tonight, we're looking at them as case studies, trying to understand how predators operate in these really isolated settings, what makes someone vulnerable when help is miles away, maybe there are no neighbors at all. We got 3 accounts. Each one gives us a chilling look into this. There's a stalker who terrorized someone for decades patiently, then a story of deception targeting children, and finally, a predator with a very specific, twisted plan involving a child. Let's start with the first one. This really highlights the power of persistence in stalking. It centers on a man named Evan, 28 years old. He's in Chatham, Alabama, moves into his late grandfather's house after a divorce. It's remote 10 acres, woods all around, old house, creaky. He's looking for peace, right? But on the 7th night, he hears it from the woods, a whistling sound. Slow, broken, off-key. At first he thinks maybe a drunk neighbor, something easily dismissed. But it wasn't a one-off. It happened every night and always around the same time, between 1:15 and 1:19 a.m., like clockwork. That predictability, it's unsettling. So he finally calls the sheriff. Deputy H comes out. And this is where the story just shifts dramatically.
Right. Because Deputy H tells him something truly chilling. His grandfather, he'd been reporting the exact same thing.
The same thing?
Yes, the whistling. That specific off-key sound, always in early spring, always between 1:15 and 1:20 a.m. for over a decade. This wasn't about Evan. He just inherited the terror.
Wow, so this person had been watching that house, that property, for years, decades maybe. Imagine knowing that. That kind of patience. It's terrifying. And it didn't stop there. It escalated. The whistling got closer, first behind the shed, then right on the front porch. And then the worst night, he hears it coming from under the floorboards, up through the heating vents. It's just unimaginable. So Evan starts digging through his grandfather's old things, finds journals, and they confirm it. 10 years of his grandfather documenting this, believing someone was watching, knew their routines. So after the deputy warns him, be careful, Evan decides to wait up one night. He has a shotgun. And at 1:17 a.m., the whistling starts. Not outside, inside the house, moving down the hallway towards him, step by step. He doesn't confront it that night. But a few days later, something changes. No whistling. Instead, 3 slow knocks at the back door. At exactly 1:17 a.m., then the hallway light clicks off. He sees a face, pale, someone dressed all in black, just standing there, motionless. Then they bolt out the front door.
And here's the crucial detail Deputy H confirmed later. The front door, it was found unlocked the next morning.
Unlocked, meaning?
And the stalker likely didn't force their way in that night, or maybe any night. They probably had a key, an intimate connection to that house, to his grandfather, long before Evan ever arrived. The threat wasn't just outside, it had access. It belonged there, in a way.
Had a key. That idea that the threat was already inside or could get inside so easily, it's a different kind of fear. Which leads us actually to our second story. This one is about how trust, especially in a small community, can be manipulated. We're in a tiny European village, population just 90 people. 90 people, so everybody knows everybody, their family, their car, everything. Our narrator is 7 years old at the time, out with a friend, Julian. They're looking for mint leaves for an old woman, hoping to get some soda money, simple kid stuff. Then suddenly these 2 figures appear. Tall men, they seemed huge to the kids, dressed head to toe in black hoodies, tight pants, really odd for the weather, and they speak in this friendly, almost childish voice, trying to seem harmless. But Julian, he senses something's off, strangers. So he asks the standard village question, who are your parents? It's how you place someone, right? Verify they belong.
That's the key moment. Asking that question is like a social password in a place that small. And their reaction, it's the big red flag.
They didn't answer.
Exactly. They completely avoided it. Didn't even try to lie, just deflected. In a village of 90, that's basically an admission. We don't belong here, and we don't want you to know who we are. Clear malintent.
Instead of answering, they offer a lure. Oh, we know where there's a big field of mints up on that hill.
But the narrator knew that hill. It only grew corn, grapes, watermelon, no mint. A blatant lie. Yet the promise of the mint, the money, and maybe that friendly voice, it worked. They started walking with the men, further and further from the village until they couldn't see it anymore. The narrator describes this rising panic, knowing deep down something was really bad, but feeling kind of unable to stop walking towards it.
And that's classic grooming behavior. Using a small, desirable reward, the mint, the soda money, to override the child's intuition, exploiting their goal, their desire. What saved them was Julian.
Julian, what did he do?
He didn't shout, he just whispered, terrified, silent. Something wrong with these two, run! That immediate, quiet signal. It broke the spell. And they just ran, downhill, for almost 2 kilometers. Blind panic. Hearing the men behind them, cursing, chasing them. The narrator mentions thinking, even then, about how dangerous running downhill like that was. If they'd tripped, what would those men have done? They never found out who those men were, or what they really wanted. But you know the intent behind luring 2 kids that far out has to be deeply disturbing. It shows how isolation can shield predators, even in places where everyone supposedly knows everyone. Okay, let's move to our final account. This one takes place in Texas at a remote cabin. The motive. It's incredibly specific and chilling. We have a 7-year-old narrator again staying with their older brother, Cameron, at their grandparents' place for the summer. Remote cabin setting. Trouble starts almost immediately. First night, around 2 a.m. Heavy footsteps outside the kids' window. A grunt sound. Someone trying the blinds. The next day, it gets weirder. The family dog, Cora, just stares intently at the woods. And they see him. A figure in black, just watching them silently from behind a tree. But the dog being there, them seeing him, it didn't deter him. The next night, he escalates. He uses something personal. Around 1 a.m., the child wakes up. Not to footsteps this time, but to humming. Someone outside the window is humming. And it's not just any tune, it's the theme song to the cartoon the child was watching on TV earlier. Cyber Chase.
That detail is crucial. Using something so specific, so benign, like a kid's show theme song. It's psychological manipulation. It builds a false sense of familiarity, maybe even safety. It's designed to lower their guard.
Exactly. Because right after the humming stops, a voice calls out, softly. Hey, it's Grandpa! Come out here, kid, I want to show you something cool. The child, hearing Grandpa, recognizing the tune, they trust it, they go outside. The figure takes the child's hand, starts leading them away from the house, towards the dark barn. It's the touch that breaks the illusion. The child looks down, the hand holding theirs. It's too young. Wrinkled, maybe. No, smooth. Not Grandpa's hand. Then they notice the figure's wearing a hooded sweater. Grandpa doesn't wear hoods. And then, the worst part, sticking out from the back of the man's pants, a long handle. An axe.
This is where we see the motive crystallize. It's what we'd call instrumental stalking. The child likely wasn't the ultimate target of the violence, but a tool, a pawn.
A tool for what?
We find that out soon. But the use of Cyber Chase, the grandpa imitation, it shows calculation, using intimate knowledge to bypass fear.
What stopped him? How did the child get away?
Pure luck, it seems. The real grandfather actually called out from the house right then. That voice, the real grandpa, startled the man, distracted him just long enough for the child to pull their hand free and run back inside. A split-second intervention.
Just incredible timing. So the police were called. Yes, they caught him hiding in a ditch nearby. And the reveal, it was shocking. His name was Dave? Dave? Who is Dave?
Dave was the ex-boyfriend of their former babysitter, a woman named Michelle.
The babysitter's ex? What?
He admitted everything. He'd been stalking the family. He knew Michelle cared deeply for this child. His plan was twisted. He broke into the shed earlier, gotten the axe.
Okay.
His plan was to kidnap the child, use the child as leverage, to force Michelle to get back together with him, to, in his words, start a happy life. Using abduction and the threat of horrific violence against a child to manipulate his ex, it's a terrifying level of calculated control.
Using a child like that, it's beyond comprehension. So, looking back at all 3 stories, Alabama, the village, Texas. What's the connecting thread here? We see isolation being exploited, obviously, but it's more than that. It's isolation combined with intimate knowledge, specific details. These weren't random attacks. The Whistler knew the grandfather's routine for years. The men in the village knew the social rules well enough to try and bypass them. Dave knew the child's favorite show, knew about the babysitter.
Absolutely. And if you synthesize that, the core vulnerability really boils down to access and predictable patterns. Things we create ourselves, often because we feel safe in that isolation.
Access, like the key.
Like the key in Alabama, yes. Or the broken shed lock in Texas that gave Dave his weapon. It wasn't necessarily a stranger breaking down the door. It was someone exploiting existing access or knowledge that grants access, physical or psychological. The biggest threats didn't come from the completely unknown. They came from those who knew something personal. Routines, vulnerabilities, even unlocked doors.
So the final thought is, maybe question who knows your patterns, even the seemingly harmless ones.
Precisely, especially in isolation. Who knows when you watch TV? Who knows if that back door sticks? That intimate knowledge can be the most dangerous weapon.
A chilling thought. Isolation doesn't erase danger. It can amplify it when someone knows how to use that space against you. Let these accounts be a reminder tonight. Lock your doors. Watch the shadows. Stay aware. If you found these true accounts compelling and want to hear more deep dives into real horror, please hit the like button, share this story, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. Until next time, be safe out there.